the family seemed perfect. When people looked at them, they saw only smiles, laughter, and happiness. A mother and father, a young teenage son, and a household filled with love. Social media reflected their life in vibrant colors. Videos of dancing, travel vlogs, small family adventures. Everything they shared radiated joy. But sometimes happiness itself attracts unwanted attention. And for this family, that dark shadow arrived quietly, changing everything in a blink. One ordinary day turned into a nightmare, leaving their world shattered and questions hanging in the air. Little did anyone know the answers would challenge what we think about love, trust, and truth. It all started in Guna, Madhya Pradesh, in the quiet neighborhood of Chaudhran Colony. The family, Anupam Jain, his wife Alka, and their 15-year-old son Abhyuday, lived in a rented upper-floor apartment. Anupam, an auditor in a private bank, had transferred here from their hometown in Jhansi, Uttar Pradesh. Over 5 years, their lives had settled into a rhythm. The downstairs neighbors were like extended family, forming bonds that went beyond mere acquaintance. Life was calm, orderly, and full of small joys. Abhyuday, born through IVF after years of struggle, was the family's pride, a child whose existence was nothing less than a dream realized. February 1st, 2010 marked a new beginning. Abhyuday arrived in their lives, bringing hope, happiness, and a sense of purpose. His parents adored him. Every need was met, every dream nurtured. The boy excelled at school, loved sports, and enjoyed a vibrant childhood. He was a happy, energetic teenager, passionate about badminton and swimming, often dancing with his mother for social media reels. Life appeared perfect, almost too perfect. But that very normalcy would later make the shock more unbearable. By early 2025, plans were underway for a fresh start. Anupam's transfer to Bhopal promised new opportunities. Abhyuday was to join a new school, and the family even planned a space-themed room for him. They were a middle-class family chasing dreams through love and hard work. February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, began like any other day. Abhyuday had an exam and returned home around noon. His mother and maid were at home. His father was away. Everything seemed ordinary, but ordinary would soon turn terrifying. Around 1:30 p.m., the maid served lunch. Abhyuday loved the meal so much he asked for an extra serving. After lunch, his mother left to play badminton with friends, leaving Abhyuday alone in the apartment. The house had 3 sets of keys, 2 with the family, 1 with the landlord. The door was locked, the keys hidden so it seemed safe, but when Alka returned hours later, the key was missing. Panic set in. Where was the key? How had it disappeared? And most importantly, where was Abhyuday? Alka called her son, but there was no answer. Calls to Anupam revealed nothing. The spare key from the landlord was retrieved. Just 2 minutes after claiming she had the key, Alka opened the door, only to find Abhyuday lying lifeless on the floor, his legs toward the toilet, his head near the door. The world seemed to collapse around her. Screams echoed through the quiet neighborhood. Neighbors rushed in, an ambulance was called, and Abhyuday was rushed to the hospital. But the doctors could only confirm what no parent ever wants to hear. He was gone. Initial investigations revealed marks on Abhyuday's neck, suggesting 2 possibilities. Either someone else attacked him, or he had harmed himself. The timing was between 2:30 and 3 p.m., inferred from partially digested food in his stomach. Police registered a murder case under Section 302. Investigations began. Who entered the house? Who was present? CCTV footage and phone records were examined. Abhyuday had eaten lunch and been alone at home. Yet strange sounds were reported. Dishes falling, a flour mill running. For nearly 20 minutes, during which his mother's phone showed no activity. The questions began to mount. If Alka had been making calls throughout the day, why did her phone remain silent during that critical 20 minutes? Why was there no sound heard by neighbors despite her claims of trying to open the door? What really happened inside that house in those short, silent minutes? The case, initially straightforward, became a puzzle no one could solve easily. Even the evidence seemed contradictory, raising doubts and suspicion in everyone's mind. Post-mortem revealed more complexities. Marks on Abhyuday's neck, signs of pressure, minor injuries consistent with external force, yet no conclusive proof of an attack. Forensic evidence seemed to indicate self-inflicted harm, but the question remained: how and why? Police were caught between circumstantial evidence, contradictory statements, and a grieving family demanding answers. Questions about timing, keys, and objects at the scene began to dominate the investigation, creating a labyrinth of doubt and suspicion. The core mystery is clear. A young boy, loved and cherished, lost in a seemingly perfect home. The house, the keys, the 20 minutes of silence, and the unexplained sounds, all puzzle pieces in a story that seems too strange to be real. Was it a crime? Was it an accident? Or something else entirely? The truth is tangled, and the next chapter promises to reveal twists that no one saw coming. As the news of Abhyuday's death reached the police, the entire atmosphere turned tense and serious. The SP and DSP personally inspected the crime scene. Statements were recorded from neighbors, the maid, and all family members. The initial investigation revealed that no external person had entered the house. Yet the strange noises from 2:30 to 3 p.m., the sound of utensils falling, the flour grinder running, and sudden silence, created an air of mystery that puzzled the police. The police also examined Alka's call records. They found an unexplained 20-minute gap during which she had made no phone calls. This interval coincided with the time neighbors reported hearing unusual noises, making it a crucial window for the investigation, as Abhyuday's death had occurred during this period. Alka's behavior and the timing of her calls raised more questions than answers. Next, a special investigation team, SIT, a high-level inquiry unit, took over the case. The team included the Deputy Superintendent of Police, cyber unit experts, and medical legal specialists. They conducted an in-depth review of the post-mortem report. The report indicated marks on Abhyuday's neck, damage to the thyroid bone, and the presence of yellow-colored saliva. Experts concluded that the marks were consistent with self-inflicted pressure, suggesting that the death could have been a self-harm incident rather than an external attack. The tension between the police and the family continued to mount as doubts about the investigation grew. Witnesses and neighbors had conflicting statements, and the exact sequence of events in the crucial 20-minute window remained unclear. While the SIT focused on gathering scientific and circumstantial evidence, questions lingered. Was there truly no intruder? Could the marks on Abhyuday's neck have been caused by someone else? Or was it indeed a tragic self-inflicted incident? The SIT's meticulous approach began to reveal that no external person had entered the house. Every potential entry point from the back lanes to the roof and upper doors was examined. Yet the evidence increasingly pointed toward the event being self-inflicted. The SIT concluded that there was no criminal intent by any external individual, and Alka was not responsible for her son's death. Medical experts emphasized that Abhyuday had been under stress due to his exams and academic pressure. The day's test had not gone well, and he was anxious about his parents' expectations. Combining these psychological factors with the physical evidence, the experts suggested that Abhyuday's death was likely a tragic self-inflicted act. The court proceedings began in the weeks following the SIT report, and the entire case became a media sensation. The courtroom was packed with journalists, legal experts, and curious onlookers, all trying to understand how a seemingly ordinary family had been thrown into this tragic spiral. The central question haunting everyone was, how could a mother and son so close and so happy end up in such a devastating scenario? The first hearings focused on Alka's bail application. Despite the SIT's dismissal report that declared her innocent, the court initially refused to grant bail, citing the severity of the charges. The judge raised concerns about procedural lapses, circumstantial evidence, and the responsibility of a parent at the time of the incident. Alka spent nearly 100 days in jail, under constant scrutiny and facing intense psychological stress, while her husband Anupam tirelessly fought to prove her innocence. During the trial, the prosecution emphasized the traditional assumption that a mother was present at the time of death, citing Section 106 of the Evidence Act, which places the burden of proof on the person with special knowledge of the facts. They questioned the timing, the missing keys, and the unusual sequence of events, particularly the 20-minute gap in phone activity, as well as the presence of the scarf and leggings which had been cut. These elements became points of intense debate, even among legal experts. However, the defense countered every point meticulously. They highlighted the inconsistencies in police procedures, such as the delay in sealing the crime scene and mishandling of critical evidence. The father pointed out that vital items were returned to the family before proper documentation, which created room for doubt. The SIT's medical evaluation further supported the defense, emphasizing that the marks on Abhyuday's neck, the saliva, and thyroid bone damage were consistent with self-inflicted trauma rather than external assault. Throughout the hearings, Anupam remained a pillar of strength, maintaining that his wife could never harm their son. He shared personal details about their family life, the birthdays celebrated, the shopping trips, the shared laughter, and Abhyuday's excitement about his future. He stressed that Abhyuday had been a loving, cheerful child, and that no parent could inflict such harm. His unwavering defense created a compelling emotional narrative, which resonated with the public and legal observers alike. The SIT's dismissal report, submitted on May 5th, officially concluded that Alka was not responsible for the tragedy. Despite this, the trial continued as the court sought to scrutinize every aspect of the case. The prosecution insisted on examining the post-mortem report, witness statements, call records, and the sequence of events, leaving the case hanging in a state of suspense. Every testimony added layers of complexity, making the courtroom a battleground for truth, perception, and evidence. On June 16th, Alka was finally granted bail with a bond of 500 rupees and 2 guarantors. The emotional reunion with her family highlighted the human cost of the ordeal. 100 days in jail for a mother who was now confirmed to be innocent by the SIT. Her son's death remained an irreplaceable loss, and the courtroom battles were now as much about public perception as they were about legal resolution. Even after bail, the trial continued. Each detail, from the placement of the towel stand in the bathroom to the cut scarf and leggings, the timing of Alka's calls and Abhyuday's exam stress, was analyzed in painstaking detail. The court highlighted the complexity of human behavior under pressure, especially of adolescents. It was clear that while the death was tragic, it was not a straightforward case of murder. Psychological stress, circumstantial evidence, and procedural mishandling had created a fog of doubt that no single narrative could fully clear. Finally, the SIT's findings provided clarity. There was no evidence of an external perpetrator, and Alka had no criminal intent. Medical experts corroborated that the injuries aligned with self-inflicted trauma. The trial's continuation, however, reflected the court's cautious approach towards circumstantial evidence and the need to rule with precision in such sensitive cases. What remained unresolved was not guilt or innocence, but the heart-wrenching why behind a child taking such a drastic step. This case serves as a complex reminder of how fragile family life can be, how pressure, real or perceived, can lead to tragic outcomes, and how investigation processes must balance thoroughness with empathy. It shows the importance of procedural accuracy in investigations, the power of circumstantial evidence, and the emotional burden carried by families caught in public scrutiny. The story of Abhyuday and his family will remain a subject of debate and reflection for years to come. As the court proceedings continue, one question lingers, unresolved and haunting. Could anything have truly prevented this tragedy, or are some events beyond human control even in the most loving families?